We are here today as a result of human experiments that were carried out between 1940 and 1964, right here in Montreal, Quebec, at the Allan Memorial Institute, at McGill University Research Laboratory, funded by the United States government agency that goes by the name the Central Intelligence Agency, the CIA.
It is time for the Government of Canada, McGill University, the Royal Victoria Hospital, and the CIA to admit their crimes. They knew this was going on and did nothing to stop it. The methods were not just inhumane, they were torture.
It all sounds too crazy to be true, but it is true. And we are here today to expose this injustice. And even though it has been upwards of 60 to 80 years, this injustice has still never been properly acknowledged by those responsible. 60 years later, those who endured Dr. Cameron's experiments and those who loved those who endured Dr. Cameron's experiments have still never recovered.
Our theory of it is that once somebody was affected, especially was a parent, brother, sister, it affected the entire family. You have many stories of kids that came from, very loving families, and after one of their parents had experienced this, they were not the same afterwards. They lost their houses, they lost their jobs, and their parents had a lack of emotion afterwards to raise their kids in a loving environment. So there's a lot more than that have signed up, because our case involves not just the victims, who were actually experimented on by Dr. Cameron, but the entire family as well.
That trauma and that pain, it takes many different shapes and many different forms, but the ultimate cause of that was a government that was experimenting on its citizens.
Unfortunately, this took place, and unfortunately, it was for politics. It wasn't for to help medicine. It wasn't to help psychiatry or mental illness. It appeared that way. It was almost like a camouflage. And so, because it was for political gains, I think that everybody needs to know that, because if you know your history, you could go back, you know where you are today.
We're hoping that the government will acknowledge that they should look into it and see what happened to those people. It's a bit as to what they're going to do now with the 215 kids that were found buried 60 years ago, or what happened to the Duplessis orphans. That is all coming out now, and we seem to want to hide it.
We want a final answer. We seek closure. The Canadian government's effort to avoid justice ensured that those responsible were not held accountable. Perhaps all we can hope for is that those who suffered will be recognized. Thank you.
Yeah!